Welcome to RVing in New England, the nation's only forum that puts you on stage with some of the biggest names in the RV industry. And now your hosts, John DePietro and Bob Zagami.
We're there. Whoops.
We're there.
Why don't I have full screen? Maybe I hit that button? What is going on? That's crazy. I never had that happen before.
Well, we're live.
We are live.
So while you're figuring that out, I will tell people where we are.
Yeah.
And if it looks like I'm back at Normandy Farms, the answer is no. We're not at Normandy Farms. Although, remember 2 weeks ago when we were talking about the beautiful new pavilion at Normandy Farms, when I drove on site today at this beautiful facility in not Oakham, as many people from Boston would improperly pronounce it, but Oakham, Massachusetts, I was immediately drawn to this site, and it's absolutely beautiful. And I am here with the second and third generation of operators of this beautiful facility.
This has been a very challenging day.
I would imagine. I would imagine it has, but
between Facebook and StreamYard. Welcome, everybody. I'm glad you got the messages and glad you could do it. So you are on site in Oakham, right?
No, Oakham. There's a ham in Oakham.
Do they really pronounce it that way, Oakham?
Oakham. No, it's Dedham and Needham, but it's Oakham. Okay.
Only in Massachusetts.
Only in Massachusetts, and I'm watching our brain trust here from the facility get this ready to go. I don't know if they're ready yet.
Well, I'll tell you, you need a little time there.
No, we're good. We're good. Are you guys ready to join us? No. Are they? They should be in the lobby, Bob.
Oh, they are. Randy?
They are. Yep.
Randy, there they are.
Look at Randy and Denise. Denise, get in a little closer. Don't let him hog the camera.
He's in there a little bit. Welcome. And what? Yeah.
This place. Look, I've lived 20 miles away from here for X number of years. This place is absolutely amazing.
Randy? Can he hear us?
Yeah. We're at the same picnic table. We may have to move. I may have to move because it's there.
Are you trying to work off your computer, your microphone?
No, they've got their own. Hey,
that's right, Randy. Don't worry, Randy. We don't script this stuff. We just kind of press the button at 7:00 and see what comes out, and our fans appreciate that. And while you're doing that, let me see what we got.
Let me tell you, we have this campground is the only one I know in America that has a CTO, a Chief Technology Officer. And he is the third generation. He's walking away. I think he's going back and cleaning up or something, but he's going to come back. We've got the whole family. We've got the whole family coming. And you know what? Do you have any other people that you know of let me tell people where we're located. As you can see, we're at Pine Acres Family Resort in Oakham, Massachusetts, which is 50 miles from Boston, 20 miles from Worcester, 30 miles from Springfield, just another 30 miles more from Hartford. But Bob, when you're here, you might as well, you have no idea where you are. I'm looking out here. It is so peaceful. And there's somebody there's a campfire right down there, and there's a pool right nearby. But did you have some other people that you wanted to? Well, here, let's do this. Let's say hi to Randy.
How about if you introduce whoever's with Randy?
Okay. Well, Randy is with his lovely wife, Denise.
Okay. And who are they?
They can talk. Well, they are the second generation proprietors of this facility.
Second generation. Oh.
Yep.
Okay.
Go ahead, Randy. Tell us a little bit about.
Well, yeah, the park was started in 1960 by my mom and dad. And
Okay. Go ahead, Randy. Yeah, we can hear you, but there's a little bit of an echo.
Oh, okay, that could be because it's off. But yeah, they started in Labor Day 1960, and they ran it for many years from all kinds of things. And we run it now for approximately 40 years. And then our third generation is involved. My son Corey, my daughter Jacqueline, and my son-in-law Ben, very happy with this. And the fourth generation grandkids are coming along, including my oldest, who is Eli. He's got a staff shirt, and he's got himself a number on the radio.
He's got a number. He's got a radio already.
Well, he steals mine and don't talk to people.
Bob, you know that you've reached high management status when you have your own two-way radio at a campground.
Two-way radio?
Yep.
Well, I got to be honest with you. I've been camping and RVing for 40 years, and I have to admit, I have never been to Pine Acres. I've known about them, and we share a lot of your posts so that people know we like to.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, we do.
Like to support the our friends in the campground community, and we try to make sure that our dealers have good relationships with our campground neighbors, because as we speak about often, we get a chance to sell these things, but then they go to your campgrounds, and when something breaks down, they don't call us.
they call it. You get yelled at.
You guys.
Yeah. Hey, Randy and Denise, we don't script this show. We're not. You can see I'm not reading a script or anything like that. And we have guests from all over the country, and we never know what the guests are going to pop in with. But do you see the comments over on the right? Can you see that? Over on the right. I'll come over and show you.
Let's pull them up, and I'll put them up.
Yeah, go ahead. I'll run over to them.
Yeah, you do that. Don and Pat Hawes are up visiting in New England. They came from New England, but Don is a graduate of the National RV Training Academy and RV inspector, and they live down in Texas. And Dante's one of our local yokels. Dante's up in Maine, but he's not a full-timer now, but a 6-month timer. He takes his motorhome down to Florida. And
wait, did you just make up a new word?
What?
A 6-month timer?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
A 6-month timer is somebody that only does 6 of the 12 months.
Right. But they have to do the other 6 somewhere else.
Yeah, and I know you don't have 12 fingers to carry that out, but it's okay. Right. Bill Sellers on Good Evening from Metro West Boston, where we finally have a perfect spring weather day. And I will tell you, the only reason that we are on tonight is because of Mr. Sell, who is kind of our engineering production backup. So when you talk about having a chief technology officer, I guess we could call Bill our chief technology officer. Don Hawes 703. Shouldn't the host have to apologize? Hey,
okay, we have to tell him that. We have to tell him the reason. If you'll notice here, you'll notice in a second, we have a very loyal customer base, and if they're late, even by a minute, they always apologize. And we'll get some people to drag in at 7:20 or so and say, "I'm very sorry, it won't happen again," and blah blah blah, blah, and you'll see that.
But we're exempt. All right. So
Don
and Pat said they stayed at your campground 3 years ago, and it was awesome. And I got to tell you, reviewing your history and putting some of the pictures and videos together for tonight, you've got an amazing operation out there. I mean, I don't know what else to say. It's there, and I'm sure you don't need us to help you promote it. You've been doing very well for 65 years. But what's the key to success, Randy?
It's reinvesting in the property for one thing.
Randy, is your mic off, Randy? Can you see your mic switch? It shows that it's mute. That's why we're having trouble. We're probably getting your voice back from John's computer.
Yeah. Right.
Can you see his mic there?
Bring the computer to this.
Well, let me do this while you try to figure that out. If you guys, let me run through the rest of the comments, and I got something else to show you. And you guys just figure out, see if you can get that going.
Yeah,
There you go. Perfect.
Hey, hey,
There you go.
That's because Denise
Sorry.
got that.
She saw it. She drove.
Don't blame Denise. Thanks, Bernie. Bernie Culleton, our stand-in host. Thanks for jumping on there, Bernie. Glad to have you. Bernie is the brand ambassador for Campers in RV. Yes, sir.
Randy and Denise are too modest to tell you. I will tell you the secret. This place is immaculate. And here's how I judge immaculate. Bathrooms. And he didn't take me to a bathroom. I went in on my own. It is cleaner than a Four Seasons hotel.
Well, you know, one of the things is
that bathrooms are the key to it.
But was there fresh flowers in there?
There were flowers in there too.
All right, there better be.
Yeah.
You know, one of the things that I loved, kind of looking at everything there, you know, we have such a mixture of RVs. Everybody from a 10 camper to a $3 million bus, and I'm sure you get them all. And
it can all fit here.
And we all also have, though, campgrounds like yours. This is the essence of what a campground should be. You know, we have nice big resorts and all kinds of fancy things. There's people for everything in this RV industry. So you want to buy an RV, you can buy a pop-up, or you can buy a $3 million bus. You want to go camping, you have to do your homework because you have to match it to your lifestyle and your expectations. So one of you speak to that and how, because I wouldn't change a thing that you've got out there from what I've seen.
Go ahead, Denise.
Well, you're absolutely right, Bob. And I would say that the reason we're at this level today is because we spent many years when our family was young traveling in a little RV up and down the East Coast. And we visited, of course, all kinds of different properties. And from that, we took what we thought was the best match for us back here and brought it back home and developed it year after year. And like Randy said, reinvested. And we call it a little hidden gem.
I would
come here.
Unhide it.
Yeah.
When they come here and they say, "Oh, we didn't even know you existed," we just joke and we say, "Well, we only let nice people know that we're here."
Well, see, now your life is never going to be the same again because you're on RVing in New England.
Oh, so true.
Now the whole world's going to show up on your doorstep.
But while I was driving back to Boston, the 2.5 hours it took me to get here, Bob was working secretly behind the scenes with some other people in very high places in the RV world. Bob, do you want to play one of those?
I'll play one, and I think they might know her.
I'm so excited to be sharing a message with Pine Acres Family Campground today on celebrating their 65th anniversary as a wonderful family-owned small business. From the Massachusetts Association of Campground Owners, Mr. Kim Packard was our very first president, elected in November of 1962, 23 years ago. And from then, many of the Packard family have served on the Mako board in many capacities, including today, Jacqueline Packard is our Mako treasurer, and we are thrilled and lucky to have them still with us. And from the Northeast Campground Association, Pine Acres has been wonderful supporters over this time of 65 years, whether it be attending conference, presenting, and just a few years ago, Carolyn and her recreation team did a great event showcasing all of the wonderful activities campgrounds can do. So Pine Acres is a wonderful campground, a wonderful family, and so very willing to share all that they've learned over all of these 65 years. So congratulations, Packard family.
So sweet.
Of course that was Cindy Zabersky, who actually wears two hats in our combined outdoor hospitality industry as the executive director of the Northeast Campground Association, but also as executive director of the Mass Association of Campground Owners. And she spoke of Kim, who originally started it. I had no idea that he was the first president of the Mass Campground. So, and I'm not sure I can tell you who the first president of NERVSA was. So, who wants to talk a little bit about the history?
Well, probably Randy, as that was, his dad and mom that came out here and looked at the land and decided that this was the thing to do. I came in a little later after a few other careers, and I wasn't quite convinced that camping was the thing for me, but I've come to love it and the lifestyle. So, Randy, you want to talk about that?
Well, she being a former teacher, she didn't want to work summers with me. That was the first thing we had to work on. It took us a long time to agree, but
That's true.
since then we've been doing a great job. No, when Mom and Dad started, it was nothing but raw land. He originally bought the property with a farm, and he kept the lake part of the property and sold the farm, but he was going to make it into house lots. And he actually started selling house lots for camps because that's what he wanted, and you'll see that in his video. But somebody said to him, why don't you get a campground, make a campground, you'll have a lot of fun. Well, it's a lot of fun, but it's a lot of work. And my mom built the very first office with just a chainsaw before they had power down there, and it's now our bait shop, Uncle John's bait shop. And I still have a picture of her serving candy behind the glass counter that I have in the bait shop in the early 60s. So we have a lot of history here. We have a lot of returning guests now that come back. Fourth, fifth generations are coming in here, enjoying the property, and remember growing up here as a child and having a wonderful time. And that was back before we had all the amenities we have now. We've changed it from a mom and pop campground clearly to a full-scale camp resort. And it shows, and people are happy with it. Every year we invest a lot more money in the property to keep it top notch. We've won Best Park of the Year twice from National Arvik, which is Ojai now. Yeah. We've gotten many other awards for our family business, and we're very proud of it. And we're working very hard to keep it in the family and be a family business, because as you know, there's a lot of corporate things going on right now, and they're always knocking at your door trying to make you a big special offer. But our plan is to keep it in the family, and that's what we're happy to do right now.
Yeah. And Bob, the thing is this, Randy gave me a tour, and he knows every inch of this ground. He knew where he could drive that Jeep and be able to turn it around, or where he couldn't drive it. And we were up by the pool, and we had some campers come up and give him a hug. And I always find that if we're at a campground where the owners are out and visible, it's a happier place. And I have been to facilities that the owners say, I don't want to have anything to do with them people out there. But I don't think that attitude is prevalent here at all. But you know what? They're not, 65 years, you might say, well, let's just sit back and take it all in. But he showed me right up on top of the hill behind me where he's got one of them big Michigan or whatever you call them, tractors up there, and they're clearing land for possibly, can I tell you this? Can I say it? I'm going to say it anyway. Some, what do we call them? Where you lived? What do you call those?
Park Model Village.
Park models.
Park Model Village. Yeah.
The park models up there. But here's the thing. It's 350 sites. And we have been to so many campgrounds up and down the East Coast where if they have a couple hundred sites, they're in a field, and it looks like an old drive-in. It looks like a former drive-in theater. I think there's no spot on this facility where you can stand and look around and see more than 10 units. Am I right, you guys? I mean, it's when you say wooded, it is wooded. But it's also set up that they're, like he showed me a new rental cabin. It's probably a better word for it today. Lancaster log home, right?
Lancaster.
Lancaster cabins.
Yeah.
Yeah.
that has a mini split air conditioner. It's got a shower. It's got running water. It's got the TV. It'll sleep 2, 4, at least 6. But the thing I like, it's got a screened porch overlooking the lake. And they got how many acres is that lake, or how big? That's a darn big lake, right?
It's approximately 70 acres, the lake.
Yep.
Let's stop a little bit there, and if I can.
Well, you didn't find anybody else.
No, I didn't find anybody else. I was looking for the sites of the photos and let
Oh,
me
yeah.
and talk about the different accommodations, because it looks like, again, because you're in the middle of the woods and people think maybe I just take my tent. No, you got tents, you got large diesel pushes, and you got the cabin. So talk about the arrangements that you have for prospective customers, Randy.
The accommodations.
Yeah.
Well, we do multi-levels, actually. We start with, obviously, we have tenting sites. A little more limited since COVID, but we still have some beautiful waterfront tenting sites. We go into RV sites, pull-through sites, full hookups with 50 amps. We have Wi-Fi completely through the entire property, cable through the entire property. And then on the cabin side of it, because we got approximately 60 cabins, we start with our full-service cabins. Our rustics rather, and those are just a true log cabin assembled on site with bunks in the back and a bedroom in the front. And they use the local bathroom facilities. And then we have full-size cabins, which are around 25 feet. Nice little price point for people. Then we move up into our premium cabins, and then our premium waterfront cabins, and those are up to 40 feet long, and they have every amenity you want, and air conditioning, and full-size house kitchen, and full-size bathroom, screen porches like Bob spoke about. And this year we just put in 3 new treetop cabins, we call them. We put them up on a spot that overlooks the hill over the beach, and they actually hang over the cliff, so the people sitting there having the morning coffee think they're up in the trees with the birds, and they're very popular. So and we do have some RV rentals still left.
Why don't you stick DePietro in one of those tonight?
I'm going home tonight. I left the house at what? I think I left the house at 6 this morning.
Hey, we don't want to hear about your travel plans. I'm excited to hear more about Pine Acres.
We haven't taken the RV out in 3 weeks. I think one of these days I got to get going in it again.
You mentioned the lakeside. And all of this stuff came from their website. We don't overwork ourselves. We just steal what we can from your website and let people know. I don't want you to think we're that smart, but man, I tell you what, there isn't a person in the world who wouldn't want to go to bed overlooking that.
You're referring to the lake.
Yes, not the one on the dock, John.
PG.
See, that proves we don't script this thing. See,
Not a family member, is it?
Sunset. I was looking at the lake. I'm thinking about that cabin in the treetops.
Right.
Yeah.
And where does DePietro go?
Yeah. Well,
the lake is perfect for boating also. We have a lot of people with pontoon boats on it, bass boats, because we have great bass fishing here. Yeah.
Can they bring their boat here?
We have a boat launch, and they can bring their own craft.
Oh, okay.
And we kind of limit it. We recommend nothing more than 20 foot in length, no big inboards, that sort of thing, because it's not a deep lake, but it's a nice lake. It's all natural. It's not stocked, and it's got all kinds of teeming with fish.
Now, do you rent boats also for your?
We rent paddle boats and kayaks and paddle boards. As a matter of fact, we've got 3 new ones. We got a dragon, and we got 2 giant swans, so the whole family can go out and have a wonderful time together.
So
we don't give them motors.
So wait, are the swans and the dragons paddle boats?
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, so you go out there and you can pretend you're a swan and talk to the other.
It's more for the little kids. They like it. Mom and dad have to do the work.
I remember those days. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Some things never change.
And we'll go look at all the other stuff that you're doing there.
Yeah.
Describe, a lot of people that might be watching the show may not really understand why we're so passionate about RVs and camping and the lifestyle, but you don't stay in any business 65 years and continually improve that business for your customers without truly understanding your customers. And that's, I think, the thing that I love about your campground, the fact that you are independently owned, that you're family owned, and there is no, and I love corporations. We have a lot of sponsors that are corporations, but you are never going to get the personal service and the professionalism that you and your family deliver to the customers. So explain the relationship between you and your campers.
You go with that one.
Yeah.
Well, that's a tough one because, we get all kinds of people that come here. And that, of course, is a goal because we cater to a lot of families. As a family, we think that family time, especially in today's world with screen time and all of that, is so important, as well as being outdoors in nature. There's nothing like it. It's been proven that it's healthy for us in many ways. So we're really committed to that. And I think that's why we've developed the property the way we have, with different levels of accommodations, because you'll have a family that might, maybe a couple of people will have RVs, maybe mom and dad will have a motorhome, but say some of the other people, they don't have any camping equipment. So for them, they can go out and get a tent and they can come and be with the family, or they can rent one of our cabins depending on their level of comfort that they're looking for. And then everybody gets out and they're all doing the same thing and sitting around the campfire. And, that's probably the best way to describe it. And again, our family is just passionate about that.
Well, you're right. And, the industry is both the campground industry and the RV industry, with the strength of the outdoor recreation roundtable and the programs that are being promoted and funded by the government. The whole aspect of mental health and getting outside, outdoors, enjoying the stuff outside in the family, letting the kids turn over the rock and find the snake and climb the trees and what have you. That's documented many times over. And I think as an industry, as both of our industries go, we have to promote that more when you look at society and the issues that they have. They must honestly think they died and went to heaven when they pulled in your driveway.
Well, I tell you one thing, Bob, they're saving a lot of money. Randy and I visited recently a big resort out in the Adirondacks in New York.
Yeah.
And they had a little walk in the woods that you could do. Of course, you were charged a fee for every activity. They called it forest bathing. And it was basically forest bathing.
Bathing, yeah.
And it was basically a walk in the woods, and they wanted $150 for it.
Oh my God.
To walk in the woods.
And I said, you know what? We need to advertise that we do free forest bathing.
Forest bathing. Hey, Bob, one of the interesting aspects of being here is that you've got the modern amenities that we're in right now with this new pavilion. But you've got as rustic as you can want to be down by the, down where the tent sites are. But here's the cool thing. And I noticed this, and Randy mentioned something very interesting about it. The fireplaces at the tent sites are stone fireplaces, where they're not so many, you go into places where they give you the big tire, that they got from a tire store. They give you the big wheel, the metal wheel.
Yeah.
But they're actual stone fireplaces. And then the more up-to-date ones are, they're bigger than that. But they don't look like they don't belong. Am I saying it the right way? They look like they're part of nature. Concrete. Right, exactly. The other thing is,
Randy, your mic is off again.
Yeah, they're molded. They look like a giant oak tree. We found a vendor up in New Hampshire that makes these. And we're very thrilled with them.
The other thing is the tent sites.
Wait a minute, the fire rings look like a giant oak tree.
Yes.
Yeah.
Man,
All one piece.
wish I had a picture of that one.
I'm going to come back at another time to take a lot of pics and vids. We'll
bring your 6 grandkids along.
Yeah, bring the 6 grandkids along. Yeah. Nice way to get unwelcomed.
Well, speaking about grandkids, talk about all this stuff.
Yeah. We actually sometimes we'll have families here for a week, and they'll be checking out, and it's really funny. They'll come into the office, and we'll just get chatting with them, and all of a sudden they'll say, "Oh, I didn't know you had that there." That's how busy they are when they're here, because between the lake and the boating and the fishing and all the other amenities and the activities that our great staff provides, they're going 24/7.
Well, one of the things that caught my attention was talk about your restaurant, because it must have been somebody else's house at one point in time, but you actually serve breakfast, dinner, and lunch on top of everything else that you do.
Well, that's not our first choice, but when you have a facility such as this and people are here for vacation, it's kind of a necessity.
Really?
Also, as you know, we're not off exit 2 off a main road.
Right. That is for sure. Put it this way: the big landmark here is Rutland.
And nobody finds you nobody finds you by accident.
No. We were joking when we were down in Savannah back in February, going down on our way to Florida. One of the campgrounds, one of the Spacious Skies properties that we stayed at, is at an exit where, like, it's 3 minutes from the interstate. We're not 3 minutes from the interstate. But the thing I said to Randy before we went on the air, it is so absolutely quiet here. You don't hear any city noises. You don't hear any police sirens or anything. But
until you showed up.
Right. Yeah, right. It stopped. But here's one of the cool things. You had talked about 6-monthers, right? Semi, whatever. You made up a new word.
6-month timers.
Ask Randy and Denise when they're not here running a campground. Where are they? You can ask them, Bob. Go ahead. You ask them that. Bob.
Okay, Randy and Denise, when you're not running the campground, where are you?
We're out traveling around in our Tiffin Allegro bus.
There you go. All right.
Okay. And
where it's warm.
When they put down roots for the winter, Bob, ask them, where do they put down roots in the winter?
What part of Florida do you come to?
We go to Naples. We love it down there.
Then you're 20 minutes.
That's where he is.
You're 20 minutes from me.
And we're 2 miles from the Daniels, so there's a whole gang of us down there.
The whole gang. So which resort are you in when you come down?
Naples Motor Coach Resort.
Okay. Yep.
Did you say Daniels?
Yeah.
You know the Daniels?
The Normandy Farm Daniels. Yes. Yeah.
Well, isn't that a coincidence?
No, it's not a coincidence. They talk to John. They talk to each other. They talk to other. They
we share ideas.
When I got out of my car and I met Randy here, I said, "Look at Normandy Farms put one up just like this, and it's the same builder, same architect, same everything." But speaking of Normandy Farms, Bob, isn't there something about Normandy Farms that you're?
Marsha and I couldn't connect. I was going to get something from Marsha, and she felt bad. She felt bad. She had a team meeting tonight. They had forgotten about it, and it was late notice when I asked them. But I said, "It's all right, Marsha. Cindy got it covered."
We were trying to get both of those people. I thought he had Marsha. So talk about not knowing what each of us is doing. I thought we had Marsha there in a script.
Well, so when you come down next winter, we can get the Daniels and the Zagamis, and DePietro come down for a month in his motorhome, and you guys, and we'll do a little New England RV dealer campground.
We're wondering if they were with Marsha when you and I and our wives were at Margaritaville.
Camp Margaritaville.
I'm just wondering if they were with them
I'm not sure if she was doing a 20 group or it was
a 20 group. Okay.
About a year and a half ago, John and I were doing some work with Camp Margaritaville, and we were filming some stuff, and we hear this voice come out from behind the bushes. That looks like Cigar Man DePietro, you know. And
It was Marcia.
Out comes Marcia from around the business. So we go all the way to Florida because I live here now. He stays up in the cold weather, but I live down here. We've been down here about 3 years, and it's a good life, that's for sure. What is it?
Put Hawes' comment on him. That's at 7:18.
Oh yeah,
they'll be interested in knowing that.
Let's not forget our friends. You want to interpret this one, John?
No.
Who else is?
Oh yeah, I don't know what that one is. You got friends.
I know we've gone to other states, and I know we've had people from Australia and England and what have you, but that may be a new one. 7:18. Don Hawes says we took our daughter and her daughters there, and everyone had an awesome time. We ended up going through 22 bunches of campfire wood. Highly recommended. I assume he means highly recommend the campground, not that everybody go through 22 packages of wood in a weekend.
But
Must have been cold.
I mean,
yeah, well, that's true. They're coming from Texas, so it probably could only be 7. It would be cold. But the interesting part that I found out is that all the wood that's sold here is cut right here. It's grown here and cut here.
well, for the most part, it has to be or certified.
Yeah.
Right?
No. Right here on the site, Randy went out and bought. Randy's
John,
kind of modest.
Look at all the trees they got.
That's all right. We can thin it out a little bit.
But
It's not right. Exactly. That's forest management.
the Packards own everything from Route 128 to Route 91.
Okay, Uncle Bernie.
North of Worcester and south of Fitchburg.
Well, Uncle Bernie says, John, we all knew you were going to mention the girl on the dock.
Yeah. Tell Bernie.
That story has legs. What?
Denise is a former school teacher. She just noticed that Bernie spelled Doc wrong.
Yes, he did.
DOCK Bernie.
Yes. Says we always enjoyed Pine Acres when our family
Wow, 50 years ago.
more than 50 years ago. Wow.
That's great.
So many activities. It was a great experience.
Yeah.
Mr.
Dante wants to get
step in.
Dante wants to get in on Dante wants to get in on lunch with you too.
Now, how are we supposed to interpret that note, Dante?
He wants to get in on the free lunch.
On what free lunch?
I don't know. I think when the Packards come down, you were going to take them to lunch.
He did 22 bundles of wood in one weekend. Wow.
Well, he also burnt.
What's their average cost for a Class A pull through? Randy, you can take that. Oh, wait a minute, you got another
We
visitor.
got somebody else in here jumping in.
Yeah, let me just pull out my banner there so I don't.
There you go.
So relaxing. Okay. Yes, that is.
So Denise said, "The hell with this! I'm out of here," or what?
Well, she's off over in the side right now, taking a break.
Right.
She saw you relaxing and figured she'd go relax.
Bob, when I was speaking at the NCA conference back in March, was it Corey?
Yeah, it was March.
In March in Stowbridge, this young man, I bumped into him in the hallway, and I said, "We need to do something with you guys because we've been going to Maine, we've been going to Virginia, we've been going to Pennsylvania, but we've got great campgrounds right in our own backyard." And you know what? We talked a few times during the spring, and he has a good relationship with the owners.
Yeah. Okay.
And Randy, why don't you tell us? I mean, Randy, introduce your.
Well, this is someone who grew up in the campground business too, because he's my son, Corey, and he's been here ever since He was born in 1980. I'm not going to say how old he is, but I'm just telling you that much.
45, same as my daughter.
Very, very good, Randy. Very good. Yeah.
And he did all the jobs around here that every little kid didn't want to do, like picking up papers and taking care of business.
Wait. Have you cleaned bathrooms?
Got to clean the bathrooms.
He's cleaned the
Okay,
bathrooms.
he
I don't
nodded
think as
that.
much as I had to with my father, but I'm just saying. But Corey's come back and joined the company after graduating as a civil engineer and working around the country in that field, and also in IT. So now he's our IT officiating and engineer and doing a great job with us, and we welcome him dearly.
Certainly comes in handy.
It's fun to be working with family.
With the civil engineering background, I'm sure that comes in handy for all your future projects.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Are you working on that part, Corey? Are you working on the excavation and all that construction stuff?
He's working on a lot of stuff, but we can't tell you what he's doing.
Uh-oh, secret stuff.
We'll have to kill you if he tells you.
Yeah.
It'll be your first visit to Pine Acres. It'll be your last visit to Pine Acres. Let's say, where's DePietro? I don't know. He never came out. He went up in the forest and talked to these guys and never came home.
Zagami, we're doing it again. We asked the poor guy a question and don't give him time to answer. Corey, go ahead.
I was enjoying listening. You guys were doing a great job.
Go ahead, Corey.
Yeah, it's same as every campground, whether you're
No,
tiny and little and leveling a site or something big.
I'm sorry to interrupt you. It is not the same as every campground. That's what makes you different. This is what we love about finding people like you, finding campgrounds like this, because we all know there's something for everybody in our industries, budget-wise, middle of the road, high-end stuff. This is what most of us grew up appreciating about campgrounds. At one time, you were like everybody, but as we see the corporate influence, as we see the, glamping, and glamping is good, but there's people for glamping. But what you've got is so unique in today's marketplace because you've got the setting. You didn't just have a bunch of rustic cabins or a couple of tent sites. You just put this whole package together. And I'm sure your challenge is, man, this is what they did the last 65 years. What the hell am I going to do in the next 30 years to top this and make it even better?
I know. I'm going to interrupt here. When I was talking with Randy when we were walking around, I said, did you know Tom Bailey? And right, you guys are good friends.
Very good friends.
And they're looking at a project now that I think would be very similar to the project.
I don't want you spilling corporate secrets to Pedro.
No. I'm being very quiet about it. But the good part, the amazing part about the RV, the camping industry is the campground owners. They share, and not secrets, but they share tips, and these guys are just regular guys. So it's not like I've got an NDA. I've got a non-disclosure agreement that I can't talk to anybody else. I mean, this is the same, right, Randy? This is the same people that built the.
Yeah, Hardwick Post and Beam, and they were only 20 minutes from here, next town over.
Really? Yeah. I mean, Bob, look how intricate.
Wow.
Look how intricate this is. But it's virtually the exact same one that's at Normandy.
Yep.
And you know what? They're looking at some other projects that I think would replicate the project at Bailey down in the back.
And what's great about that industry, and we see this also, we're very fortunate in New England for our RV dealers. We have many multiple generation dealers. And so, Corey, you must be on a first name basis with Galen up there, and you guys swap ideas and what have you.
Well, you guys touched on it in that there's a campground out there for everyone, is something we like to say. And while you can have your Targets competing with your Walmarts, and some campgrounds, I'm sure, approach it as a competitive environment, we book out a year in advance. So we feel that there are plenty of campers out there for every campground and for every type of campground, whether you want to go to a partying campground or whether you want to come to a family camping resort like here, where your kids can run around, have a great time, make memories as a family, or you want to go to one of the bigger parks like a Disney World sort of park. There's a campground out there for everybody and every family, and we just try to offer what our guests give us feedback on that they want to see.
100%. 100%.
Yep. Zagami has said that virtually. Corey, I think you were almost reading his script, because that's virtually word for word what he says about camping. And the fact that you can, be at a campsite and the kid can be at the pool, and you're not worried. I mean, if it's a nice hotel, you're not going to be up on the 20th floor and the kid's going to be down in the pool. You're just not going to do it that way. And I don't care whether it's Boston or Las Vegas or Chicago or especially Orlando.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, we're trying to preserve the environment, get people outdoors. And I think that the families who come here, whether they're coming out to the woods in central Massachusetts or they're going down to the Cape and they want to be on the beach, it gives them a chance to go somewhere as a family. They can come back over and over again if they want, or they can go and explore other places. We have 50 beautiful states in this country. I believe there's campgrounds in every one of those states. And you find someplace you want to go, and you find something you love. And so we just want to encourage camping across the board and make sure the families are out there making those memories.
Yeah. Let me ask you a question, because you are booked out a year in advance and you're a very popular place. What percentage of your sites are seasonal versus day trippers or week? I hate to use the word transient.
Yeah.
I just dislike that word.
So a lot of that information is proprietary, as you guessed. But we actually adjust it based on the economy and the economic forecast. And we found camping to be very resilient to the ups and downs.
Yep.
Whether it was the crash in '88 or the crash in '07, '08, we find that people still want to get outside. They still want to do something with their family. And even when money's tight, maybe they don't go as far. So people in Massachusetts are not going to Colorado. They're not going to Canada. Maybe they're staying a little closer to home. So we do adjust those numbers. We're licensed for 350 sites, and we found a number that works for us, and we reevaluate that every year to see what the demand and supply is going to look like.
In response to the seasonals, when my mom and dad owned the property, there was probably 250 seasonals in here.
Wow.
And it was just unbelievable. Since my wife and I took it over, we've cut it way back to below 100. And we've opened up for more short-term stays, more week stays, that sort of thing. We still have sites available even this year for short-term stays. We're doing 3-night specials. It's the holidays and everything that are booking out a year to 2 years in advances, all your big weekends.
Sure.
We've got availability where we can get people in this summer too, because we've changed our policy on the bookings too, because during COVID, we went way up to 5 to 6, 7 nights for stays. And now we've dropped that down. People are feeling a little more secure about themselves. So give us a call. We'll find you a spot, or go online and book online. Corey takes care of that.
Yeah, I saw that end of it. How about the glamping scene? Have you touched upon that at all, or are you staying away from that?
Well, some of our accommodations are right on the edge of the glamping side of it, with the paved patios and the special fire pits and the luxuries cabins we've got.
Yep.
We've looked at some other things like tents or yurts, and we just, at this point, haven't pulled the trigger on it, because I think we're up here in snow country and we got a lot of pine trees, so I'm not sure they'd hold up to the trees falling apart in an ice storm in the middle of the winter. So we haven't gone down that road, but we're certainly open to new venues and new types of camping for sure.
We joked about the road, not being off the highway. Explain to people exactly where you are.
Well, we're only 10 miles out of Worcester on the only scenic byway in central Mass that runs from Worcester all the way up to past the Quabbin Reservoir. Beautiful.
Route 122.
Route 122, exactly.
22.
It was just named Scenic Byway 2 years ago. And it's been all repaved and cleaned up. And we're about 10 miles out of Worcester. You take 122 straight up, you hit 148, you come around the lake 1.5 miles, and there we are. It's easy peasy. If you follow your GPS, you're going to find a dirt road.
No.
Do you pass Mann's RV on the way up?
Yeah, right past Mann's, and they got a beautiful new sign they just put up.
I saw that.
Now, Bob.
I saw Jeff had spent a little bit of money on the new sign. Talk.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Well, hold on a second. Rutland is the geographic capital center. It's the dead center of Massachusetts. It's the most central located. It's right in the center of Massachusetts, and we're only one town away.
Yeah,
We were actually part of Rutland. We were called West Rutland in the beginning.
Didn't know that.
And then,
Know that.
we had a little mutiny and we became Oakham.
One other question is, since COVID, when so many young people got into RVing because they could then hit the road with their young families, Corey, you're probably more of the technical guy here. Have you seen a change in the ages of the people that are now coming, especially since the start of COVID, which is 5 years now?
We see a variety of ages. I don't know that our guests have necessarily skewed younger because it's always skewed towards the families. So people with young kids, whether they're 18 months up to 18 years, we've drawn in the families for many decades now. We've certainly had passer-throughs who live the van life and the schoolie life, as they call those retrofitted school buses. So we've seen our fair share of those over the years. We hope to encourage camping amongst those future generations, but we're certainly not a destination, I would say, for a lot of the van life people.
Yeah.
Well, you know, John and I speak a lot about the relationship between dealers and campgrounds, and I think nationwide between what we do here in New England with our dealers and campgrounds is way above what most dealers and campgrounds associate with. I mean, we know that there's dealers that don't know there's a campground in the town that they're at. They don't have a relationship. So I don't want to put anybody on the spot, but do you have a nice relationship with a dealer? And how do you handle technical service? Because now with our RV Technical Institute and the National RV Training Academy, there's been a very big swing the last couple of years for campgrounds having some of their employees trained on becoming a certified technician, because you get all the problems. We sell them and get them off to you guys, and something goes wrong. What's your theory or your practice there?
We work very well with Manns, as you know, down the street. Fred, the original, or Howard Mann, the original owner, who I know or knew before he passed. My father and him were very good friends over the years. Their family business has been here a long time also. But we have a sister company called Oakham Trailer Sales and Service. And I've had certified technicians on my payroll working for me in the park over the years. We've sent some of our staff to various schools that around the country and out in Hartford and various places, Albany. So we still got that company, but right now we're letting Manns take care of all our servicing, and we don't have a technician on staff currently. And it's a good relationship because it frees us up from some of the other stuff. We can take care of the stuff in the park here too.
No, either way works. But
Right.
but what I find amazing sometimes is when the campgrounds might have one or two names that they'll give to somebody, but they don't really know if that person is qualified.
Mhm.
And if you don't have that kind of a relationship, then that's what we say to our dealers. Why aren't you developing relationships with the dealerships? Every person in that campground is a pre-qualified prospect for an RV, whether it's a pop-up tent or a big bus. And why aren't you reaching out to them saying, look, if your customers have problems, we'll be there for you? Because that's a prospective customer for that dealership later on. They'll remember who serviced them. So we spend a lot more time working those issues than most dealerships in the country.
Yep.
We've had campers come in from all the neighboring dealerships, but we've certainly steered people towards Manns over the decades, simply being that they're 6 minutes down the road. And in 2022 and 2023, as the backlog really grew for dealership fixes and repairs, we actually also partnered with a mobile solution called the RV Guys, and found that both between Manns and the RV Guys, we were able to serve the needs of our guests. And basically, you want the campers to be happy. However they get their unit fixed, they just want to camp. They want to be out there with their families and around the fire and having a good time.
We'll also give them Ryan's card too, so that
make sure we
he's
have
got a third option
Ryan Hadley's
for
call on that. So So we're getting down there. These hours disappear quickly. So can you enlighten us on some of the ideas that you have for the future? Or are you going to keep them under wraps until you cut the ribbon?
We're just maintaining the property and keep improving. We've got some amenities, some new buildings that are on the drawing block, that sort of thing. But I'm working with the third generation now, so it's going to be on their shoulders more so than mine. It's time for me to get to the side, and I don't mind consulting, but I don't need to be in the trenches 7 days a week anymore. So
you want to spend a little bit more time in Naples and a little less time in Oakham.
I want to be here near my grandkids, but in the cold weather, I don't want. They can come to me.
No, but Randy, do you still go? Well, I'll ask Corey. Does he still go up and play with that big yellow equipment up top?
That's where he's happiest.
That's where he's happiest, in that big machine.
What, John?
He's got big earth movers and bulldozers is the only word, but
Excavators,
yes. Yeah.
Well, I had a construction business before I bought the park from my parents, so I got the background in it. And my dad put me on a bulldozer when I was 6. He tells me. I don't remember that, obviously, but so construction I like doing. So that I call it my yellow office. If you don't see me in the main office, I'm in my yellow or my orange office. Don't bother me.
The construction experience, you got the technology, you got a civil engineer.
Yes,
65 years of incredible history behind you. Man, that's one hell of a story.
Yeah, and 2 school teachers that keep them both in line that are in the wings here right now, because they really run the show. These guys take the credit for it.
Check on Bernie Spelling. Did we miss anything here tonight?
No, another great video. Thank you. Yeah. Another great show. Great show. Zagami's buying lunch.
Oh, Johnson, good to see you, John. Dante.
And I tell you, Bob, it's probably the subject for a whole nother hour, if not more, podcast for you. But a lot of the ideas coming down the road that people look into, that we've looked into, whether it's a climbing wall, whether it's a zip line, a lot of it comes down to the ability to get insurance. And we won't open that can right now, but there's a lot of things that campgrounds want to offer, and the insurance is either prohibitively expensive or just will not cover it. And it's part of the cost of doing business these days. But I'll leave that up to a whole nother hour for you guys.
Yeah, it is.
That's true.
It's probably a good subject when we come back to Northeast Campground.
Well, along what he said, when Randy was giving me the tour, he said, we have a bike park here. And I mentioned that there's another park that I know of that, because of insurance issues, is closing their bike park.
Masha already closed it. You turned it into.
Well, I wasn't going to mention the name. You did. I wasn't going to mention the name.
Program. She said it on our program that the biggest challenge that she has is insurance, and that is a big issue. So I'm sure it'll be even more popular as Cindy puts together the programs for next year. But that's a good one for a good topic for amongst the owners and in business. I'm not sure our fans would need to have that or want to have that kind of a discussion, but they have to understand, when the bike path disappears or the rock wall comes down, there's a logical business reason. With they're just fortunate to have a family like yours that have provided them so many options in the outdoors. And
one more thing, because we're already over time, but one thing I have to say it is that they have the coolest arcade here than I've ever seen at a campground. Some campground you go in and they got some old machines that are 35 years old that if you look at them sideways, they break. But how many machines would you have? You probably about 25 or 30?
30. Yeah.
Even the kind that you sit on and steer and everything, not just Atari and they don't have
Pac-Man.
They probably have Pac-Man. But they've got all new stuff. And look, the last word I'm going to say is cleanliness. If you are into cleanliness and a cool place to stay, then come to Bob. Move over a little bit so people can see the logo behind you. There we go.
How's that?
He's in Florida with the sign behind him, and I'm at the. Look, I'm going to turn around. I'm at the actual I'm at the actual place.
Well, I didn't want to show them the palm trees tonight. We were talking about a rustic campground in the middle of the woods, so I didn't want to do the beach and the palm trees.
I'll look at the little. Can I get it in there? The
Yeah.
speakeasy. Can you see that?
Yeah.
Right.
Yep, the Scotty.
The Scotty.
Yeah,
Randy's got a
actually-
collection of old trailers.
Wow, fantastic.
So, anyway,
Hey, guys,
it's already 8:03.
We really appreciate, John, thanks for setting this one up, and we really appreciate getting to know you guys better, and we'll be posting this, and we'll get you a direct link so you can share it with your community and folks, but congratulations on the first 65 years, and thanks for coming on.
We'll be back in another 65 years to do the 130th anniversary show.
Well, appreciate getting to see you both again.
Thank you very much,
Thanks,
gentlemen.
guys.
All right, guys.
See you all next week, everybody.
Yes, sir. Ooh, let me get the closing. Where's my close?
This edition of RVing in New England was a presentation of the New England RV Dealers Association. Thanks for watching, and be sure to like us on Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram.